SmartVision offer a free copy of SPSS Statistics that will give you access to the software for a trial period of 2 weeks. This video will talk you through how to download and install the software before providing a series of examples of procedures that you might want to try out yourself in order to explore SPSS. You should be aware that the trial software includes all of the SPSS Statistics optional add-on modules, and you can find out more about these modules and see a 2-minute overview video of each one if you visit this web page. When you complete the online order form, you'll receive an email with a link that looks like this. Clicking on the link will enable you to download the executable that installs the software. When that download's completed, all you've got to do is double click on the executable to start the install process. That will start a wizard that will guide you through the install process, and of course you'll be asked to accept things like the terms in the license agreement as you're going along. We do recommend that you install the Essentials for Python pack, as that will give you access to additional functionality within SPSS Statistics, and then accept the terms for the Python software itself as well as the pack itself, before finally choosing a destination where you want to install your trial software. And on completion of the install, you'll be offered the opportunity to license the software with your trial license and to start IBM SPSS Statistics itself. When SPSS Statistics launches, you'll get a welcome dialog like this that will give you, among other things, information about what's new in that particular edition of SPSS Statistics, as well as the opportunity to visit the online SPSS community, or alternatively to get started with tutorials. And if you click on that link, it will open up the SPSS help system and will give you access to the various tutorial options within there, giving you an overview of some of the really basic aspects of using SPSS, as well as introducing you to the sample files that SPSS ships with. Another approach is simply to click close and then directly open up the sample files, and if I go to File, Open Data here to open up a sample file folder, you'll see that the sample files here are contained within a folder that is where you've installed the software. So see Program Files, IBM SPSS Statistics 24, Samples English, a lot of nested folders there, but if you can navigate your way down through that and go to where you've installed the software, then look for samples and look for the language that is appropriate for it, that will give you access to all of the SPSS Statistics data files, sample data files, and the one I recommend you open up to begin with to familiarize yourself with the software is this one here called employeedata.sav. If I click open at that point, it opens that file into the SPSS data editor, and you notice there in the background it also opens up an SPSS output window viewer. And there are some simple things we can do right away to make the evaluation process a little bit more satisfactory. We can, for example, properly display this column just by clicking the header and making sure that we drag out the display width so we can see it says gender. We can switch on or off value labels by clicking on the value labels button up here so we can see what the codes mean for these category fields. Job cat, minority, gender we're displaying here. If we don't like the font size of the values within the data editor, we can go to a grid font here and just change that, make it a little bit bigger so we can display it a wee bit easier. And if we want to generate some output or do some sort of basic analysis, we can simply click on a cell within a column or variable, right click on it and ask for descriptive statistics, and that will send some analysis results in the form of descriptive statistics to our output viewer window. And in fact, we can work with this output. We can double click on it, for example, here and get this dotted line around it. If we right click, then we can go to what's called table looks, and we can choose a different table look. So this is the default, the system default. You can see there are many other different types of table look one could choose here. In fact, you can create your own table looks if you so wish, and just choose a table look that, if you don't like the default, choose a different one. So we can go for this one here, click OK. That changes that table look. And we can change this permanently by going to Edit Options. In fact, we can change lots of options here, and then going to Pivot Tables within Options. And in fact, saying I'll have this table look and hit Apply, and that will change all subsequent output to that table look. If I click this red star button here, I can come back to the data, or alternatively go to Window and call up the data file. Right click again, hit Descriptive Statistics, and now it pushes out some results to me in this new style, this new table look style. So that's one of the first things we can do. Second thing we can do is we can go back to the data and we can start looking at other types of analyses one can do. Notice that when I right click on these data types here that have little rulers across the top of them, that's because they're continuous fields. If I ask for some descriptive statistics, they don't give me percentage breakdowns, rather they give me some summary statistics that are appropriate to that field type. Clicking Go to Data takes me back again. If I wanted to look at the relationships between some of the data file, some of the variables in this data file, I could go to the Analyze menu here and go to Descriptive Statistics and down to Crosstabs. This is a good way to get started. So if I click on Crosstabs and I look at, say, the relationship between gender and, let's say, employment category, I can request in the Sales button here that we ask for row percentages. So if I ask for percentages of a row and click Continue, and I can ask it to display some clustered bar charts and click OK here, and that will produce some output for me in the new table style, and where we can see that 95% of females, because that's percentage of gender, are in the clerical group. At 10% of males are in the custodial group, only 60% of males are in the clerical group. 28% of males are in the manager group compared to 4.6% of females. And in fact, that produces a little bar chart for us. We can double click on that bar chart and edit it if we so wish. And you can edit aspects of the bar chart that you've produced here just by double clicking on the thing that you want to change. I'll click here and fill and border here, so I can change the fill colors. So I can just click the color and say, okay, I'll have this as purple color and hit apply. Changes that to purple color. Click on the background, for example, and say I'll change the fill and border not to a black color. Put that in the background, and I can, for example, click on the bars again themselves and ask for labels to be displayed. At a point, it'll display labels for me. There's lots of different things I can do and change here, so you can edit away to your heart's content, and then close that down. And of course, you can make these charts bigger or smaller because there's little edit handles around the side here that you can use to resize the chart within the viewer window. Other things that are worth trying out is going to the Graphs menu and building charts directly from the Graphs menu. If you go to the chart builder here, you'll see it opens up a dialog where you've got a menu of different chart types you can choose. So if I chose something like a scatter plot here and I dragged it up onto the preview pane here, that allows me to build up the chart. And really I want to use continuous fields, so I'm using these little fields here with rulers next to them. I'm going to color the points of this chart by whether or not they are employment category. That's why I'm using a colored scatter plot here. If I click OK at that point, that will generate a really basic chart for me. You can see here that I can make this smaller or larger, of course, here by dragging the edit handles out. But if I want to change the colors of the points themselves, the best thing to do is just double click on the points that you want to edit. And you can see here it's actually selecting all of the points, not just the red ones. You can see them all selected in the background here. So if I just click again, it'll select just the red ones, allowing me to choose a different fill color. So I go for a dark red there. And the same with the orange here. See, it's selected just the orange ones. And I can go for a orange fill color and that, hit apply to that. And then the green ones down here, I'll just go for a light green fill. Let's go for a dark border and a light green fill and hit apply in there. Hit close. And of course we can change the size of these points if we so wish, and the shape of them, etc, etc. Let's just change that to 6 so it stands out a little bit more. And in terms of the background here, we can ask it to put on some grid lines for us. We can ask for major ticks, minor ticks, or both major and minor ticks. Hit apply. If you don't like the grid lines, you can click on them. You can click on the properties button here and change the colors of them or the weight of them. So if I'll just make them a much lighter grey color here, hit close, it's in the background, and then close that down. So we've got a little edited chart here showing the relationship between beginning salary and current salary, broken down by the employment category that the people fall into. And then on the data manipulation side, we could return to the data itself by clicking on the Go to Data button. And we could look at this date field here. We could play around and experiment with that by looking at the date and time wizard, which would allow us to, among other things, calculate if dates or times. So we could work out these people's ages today, or we could extract part of a data time, so we could pull out the month or the year. Or alternatively, we could look at these continuous fields here like salary, and we could create banded versions of them by going to transform visual binning, and that would allow us to use the banded versions of them in things like crosstabs. So if I took something like current salary here and asked it to bin or to group current salary, it would scan the data, it creates a little histogram for me. It invites me to create this new field, which I'm going to call salband. I can give it a new name. Instead of current salary grouped, I'll call it current salary banded. And I could ask it to make cut points, to slice, if you like, the distribution. I'll ask it to slice it in 4 by asking for 3 cut point slices at 25% intervals. Hit apply. It shows me where it's going to slice it. I could take these values here like 37,050 where this last slice is. You can see I can move it up and down. Or alternatively, I can just type in here 37,000 and it will move that slice point to that point. If I don't like anywhere these have been sliced, I can say, okay, I want to round this up to 29,000. Make it a little bit more even, and then I could ask it to make labels. I could edit the labels so that it said less than or equal to. And here I could say, instead of 37,001 plus, I could simply say over 37,000. And if I do that, and then click OK, it says I'm going to create a new field for you. It creates a new field. It sends me to the output window. But here's the new field that's been created. And I could, for example, I could look at comparison of averages of job time or previous experience broken down by these different categories. Let's do that. Let's go to Analyze now and go to Compare Means. And by doing that, it really wants me to put these ruler fields up in here. So if I say, well, okay, what is the average beginning salary of people based upon their current salary? What is the average previous experience in months? And click OK at that point. It gives me a little report here showing me some averages. Here we have the mean beginning salary of people on less than 24,000 compared to the mean beginning salary of those on over 37,000. And the mean experience in month, previous experience in months. If you don't like the orientation of this report, you can double click on it and it should pull up a pivoting tray. If you're not seeing a pivoting tray when you double click on it, just try requesting pivoting trays from the activated table. And if you pick up something like statistics and move it up into this layer box up here, just move the icon in there, you can now see the individual statistics, the mean, the number of cases, and the standard deviation broken down in there. In fact, in the means procedure, you can ask for lots and lots of different summary statistics. So there's a lot of different procedures there to play around with. It's worth knowing that we haven't looked at things like correlations, and we haven't looked at any of the additional modules, such as the tables, the custom tables module, which will allow you to build up quite complicated tabulation in a single dialog box. If you want more information about that and more pointers on that, we suggest you go and look at the custom tables module 2-minute overview video within the Smart Vision website. In fact, you can do that for any one of the additional modules, such as the decision trees module or such as the regression models module. In the meantime, hope you enjoy evaluating the software and having a good play with it over the next 2 weeks.